Hello, I'm going to explain how to open the Autotunes application and get it running on a Sunday morning. So, first off, you'll notice that Ableton Live is open, and when you first turn on the computer, it just opened up, and that was great. The problem is that when it just opens, it opens up this configuration with these two MIDI import or settings and these two audio channels. We don't use that. We just run audio channels. So what you want to do, and what's probably pretty easy, is to just close out of it, minimize Pro Presenter, and then on the desktop over here on the right, there's this folder called Waves Autotune project. So double click that. That's going to open up the file folder or finder, and there's wavesautotune.als. So you're going to double click that, and then Ableton Live is going to open up to our pre-configured settings. And so this is going to give you a little message, just say okay. And now you can see we've got Carson and Melissa and Christy for this week. Sometimes you'll notice that you have to come into Live and settings, and because it's going to tell you, hey, there's no like audio, or there'll be a message that says like an error thing, and it's because this audio input device is set to no device. So you just need to set the audio input to XUSB 32 and the output device to XUSB 32, because it might also be no device. And then once those are set up, then you should be good to go. You should see channels bouncing here. I've cranked the gain on these channels on the mic, so Melissa and Christy are bouncing, but I wanted to walk through a troubleshooting. So everything just worked tonight, but Carson right now is not working. So let's say you set up a new mic and you want it to auto-tune, for Carson, but it's not bouncing. So if we look at the soundboard, we've got Carson and Melissa and Lizzie, and but the Carson raw is bouncing because we've got his mic on the stage and it's plugged into number 11, and so 11 is getting an input signal. We can see that, and Melissa and Lizzie are getting input signals, they're raw input signals. But then the auto-tune channels, you can see if I shout a little bit, Melissa and Lizzie are getting something, but Carson's not ever getting anything. So Carson's not bouncing, we can see that there. And we can see it over here, Carson's not bouncing. The reason is, so we're gonna come over to this other computer over here, and we need to set up that output so that, the audio is coming from the mic to the soundboard, and then from the soundboard it's coming over to the computer, and we're just not telling the soundboard, hey, this sound should be the number one audio, what we labeled Carson here. So to do that, we come over to here. The easiest way to do it, in my opinion, is to come over to this X32 edit application on this Mac, and open up the routing, and if it's collapsed, just hit that arrow there, and open up the routing, and then it'll probably be on inputs by default, but you're going to want to go over to user out, which is all the way over at the end here, user out, and then you can see in here that so if we look back at the raw channels, Melissa's on 20 and Lizzie's on 17 and Carson's on 11. So this square shows 17 is output 4 and 20 is output 3. So 17 and 20, Lizzie and Melissa, and that's why output 4, oh, that's named Christy, that should be named Lizzie, but anyways, Christy and Melissa. That's why those two are bouncing great. But Carson's not bouncing. So we need to take a look. What do we have Carson on? We have Carson on 11. So why isn't Carson bouncing? Well, we've got output 3 for 20. We're not using that right now. But what we need is 11. And 11 isn't obviously anywhere in here. We want 11 on number 1. So if I click this 9 through 16, now I can see 9 through 16 here. Oh, there's 11, and I want it to be on output 1. So if I just click that, now 11 is going to go on output 1. So now, if I come over here, I can see Carson's bouncing, but he was bouncing on the raw already. He just wasn't bouncing in Autotunes. But now, would you look at that? Carson's bouncing on Autotunes. And sure enough, he's... let's see if he's bouncing over here. Yes, he's bouncing over here. So that's how you configure a new channel, and that's how you open up. So that's how you open up Autotunes. That's how you add in a new mic and route it correctly. Right now we can do 4 mics, and I can show you to rename this here. You're just gonna right click up here and rename, because that's not going to be Christy, that's going to be Lizzie. It's not super important to name these in the Autotune program. It's a lot more important to have them named correctly on the soundboard, but I mean, nobody's really looking at the Autotune program. We're hoping to move the Autotune program from this computer to that computer eventually, but for right now, you open it, you get it set up, and you make sure your audio channels are bouncing, and then once they're bouncing, then the Pro Presenter person can just come back in and do their thing on Pro Presenter, and nothing else needs to be done. Hopefully that answers the majority of the questions that might come up on a Sunday morning. And if not, give me a call, or yeah.